Wonderful. Well, we're so excited that you're joining us. I'm curious about how has your experience caregiving for your wife inspired you to help others and this idea of thriving anyway?
Okay. So it's now been about 14 and a half years since my
Wow.
wife was first diagnosed with her condition called dermatomyositis. Say that three times fast. Uh, right. The first 3 years were just horrible. I mean, they were so bad. We had a newborn baby, a 2-year-old daughter, and we were both 31 years old at the time, and she couldn't drive for a year. It was just really difficult finding the treatments and the right doctors and so forth. Since that time, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. There's been up and down. Currently, she's doing pretty well. But for us, as we have learned things, as we've been helped by other people along the way, our thought has always been we want to pass that along and help other people, because at age 31, we definitely were not expecting this. I don't think anyone's ever really expecting a
Absolutely.
serious illness or condition, and yet it thrusts you, whether caregiver or patient, into this whole new world of new vocabulary, new rhythms of life, new expectations, and it's highly disorienting. And so for us, this whole notion of thriving anyway is something, I think it's like a law or doctor. We practice this. We're still learning. Um, but I would say the idea to us is this, is that there are two parallel truths, two parallel realities at all times in our lives. And part of it is that life as a caregiver and dealing with long-term conditions is frustrating, it's disappointing, it's depressing, it's hard. And it's so easy to see that side of it that we think that's all there is, but that's not all there is. It's both and, because at the same time, we have found we meet beautiful people, encouraging people, some of the most wonderful, funny, inspiring, loving, courageous things have also happened on the same day, the same week, the same month as those horrible things. And so that's kind of the idea of thrive anyway. It's not that everything is perfect, it's not. But in the midst of that tension, that's what the talk is about, is to encourage people to thrive anyway.
Wow. So it's about finding the and not staying mired in the difficulty of the moment, but finding the and.
That's right. Yeah, we tend to default towards either or, like either it's bad or it's good.
Right.
The truth is it's good and bad on the same day in the same week. So it's both and it's taking the blinders off and intentionally exerting some energy into that other side, of the beauty and the wonder and the courage and the bravery and all of that that goes with caregiving. And I think people kind of know that underneath the surface, but always need to be reminded of it. So I'm really looking forward to reminding everyone in about a month now, first weekend in April, and just helping make that really tangible for people.
That's wonderful. So you mentioned finding the energy to seek that out, to seek out the good. Where does that energy come from? How do you find that energy when you're exhausted?
Exactly. So one thing I always think about is they're kind of like high fence things to do that are the right things to do, and there are low fence things to do. So for instance, like we all know, we probably ought to put on our clothes, go out, go to the gym and exercise, or spend the money, or there are the things that take some effort to get out and do. And those things are always worth it. But there also are the things that are low fence, low bar. And so a lot of the things I'll talk about in the Thrive Anyway presentation are the things you don't have to go anywhere. It's just kind of
Mm,
equipping your toolbox with things that are really easy to do.
got it. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Being able to find that energy that works in the caregiving situation versus having to expend all of this energy to go outside of where you are. So
Right.
that's great. You wrote a piece about giving thanks by mental subtraction. What does that mean for people who are struggling with the challenges of caregiving?
Yeah, so I came across this a few years ago, this notion, and as I did the exercises that what I was reading suggested, it was unexpectedly powerful to me
Mm.
because I thought, what if, because at the time when my wife was first diagnosed, those first few years with young children, there was just a lot of fear. I was afraid I was going to be a widower in my 30s with two young children, and what am I going to do? And so sometimes in retrospect, it's those kinds of things. And I think, well, no, I wish my wife didn't have this disease, but what if I didn't have my wife?
Mm.
Okay, now I'm really thankful that we maybe not exactly how we want it, but my kids have their mom, I have my wife. So that's like an extreme form of mental subtraction, but sometimes it's much smaller. You think, what if I hadn't met this one person or come across this one blog or read that one book or gone to that one conference? There's all this value that's added because we take small steps. And so mental subtraction, thankfulness by mental subtraction is kind of like, what if I hadn't? Man, I sure am glad I did.
Right. Wow. I love that. I love that concept, and it's so relatable when you think about it in that way, to find gratitude in what under ordinary circumstances would just seem like, oh my gosh, you poor thing, this is so horrible, and yet you can gain so much if you are paying attention. So
And that's a lot of it. And you kind of have to train yourself and talk yourself into these things. But, I have to talk myself into my better thoughts, many days. But that's okay. We all do that. And so that's what a lot of Thrive Anyway is all about, is it's giving you those practical tools to help nudge you in the right direction.